Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian, own nothing, control everything. Thank you for tuning in live, listening in the replay. This is the vault, episode 647. In networking, we trust. No, excuse us. In network, we trust. Who's in your network? In network, we trust. Who? What? We're talking about trust, but we got to talk about the network. The network that we always say we want to have. Trustees get in trustee training. Yeah, they get in trustee training. Okay, it's time to expand the network now. Why? Because people entrust it with people entrust. So what is the trust? Why is because people entrust it with people entrust. So the next thing we need to know is who we need to deal with in trusteeship. The network. And this has been one of those things that trustees will get on the line, get on the line. Then we say again, they get on the line. They'll say, oh, Trust Christian in the vote, I need to go to an event. What events do I need to go to? And do they go? Sure, some do, some don't. Or some go to galas, or some go to Chamber of Commerce events, some go to local real estate events. Or some, everybody wants to say they're going to capital raising events. Are you going to lawyers events? Are you going to American Bankers Association events? Who? In network we trust. And this is interesting because we already know people in trusteeship deal with people in trusteeship. So we know who we're dealing with. We got to go associate with other trustees. That's just the bottom line. We got to go find them. We got to go meet them. We got to connect with them. We got to do whatever we got to do and go meet these trustees. That's what we got to do. So Trust Christian today was sitting in front of a trustee of a public company, and they let you know that it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. Trust Christian Vote. And we've been practicing that a lot for the past 12 months to the past 6 months for sure. And 12 months, it can challenge you, because so many people come into trusteeship and they're like, oh, I gotta learn it all. We hear those. We have people literally may or may not move forward, with trustee training because they're not confident in just taking a mentorship and expanding their network. Well, who are you going to expand your network with? A book? Not enough. If you need hands on experience, you want to get real world experience. And real world experience comes from previous actions taken, not just the story that you read about in the book. And who better to ask about the story more than the book? The actual person that's the story. So it's interesting. How many trustees are networking with other trustees? Oh, we discouraged it for years with trustees. Don't think that we didn't. Why? Because they were newbie trustees. We encourage trustees to go connect with other senior trustees, not with other newbie trustees. Why? Because most newbie trustees are going to tell you the limiting beliefs. Oh, I don't know how to transfer this. Oh, I didn't open up the bank account. I've been sitting in the private ship and I haven't opened up the bank account. I've been sitting in private trusteeship. I haven't opened a bank account. Maybe you don't want to. That's fair. Some people say, okay, well, if we do open a bank account now, we can start doing trustee business. Correct. So, how do you think you get the support system to support you in that process of getting those things done? Like, oh, Trust Christian Vote. I want to get those things done. I want to be in a position where I can do that. Well, you get around a support system that enables you to do that, that encourages you to do that, to find people that have way more wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, that have experience. So then what we do is we become great team players instead of great just only sole players. Your network. So many trustees come to the trustee training. I don't know who I could get for this. I don't know who I could get for that. I don't know anybody that could let me have $10,000 to start out the family estate. Right. This is your network. or this is some's network. So then when we engage with trustees, we're asking the question, okay, well, when are we going to expand into a room if you're going to be in trusteeship where other people are in trusteeship? Because that alone is the difference maker. It's not the capital. Everybody in trusteeship still has different sizes of capital. We all have different size estates. But the one thing we can do is we have that estate conversation. We're not having a personal conversation. We're having a business conversation. We're having a trustee family estate conversation. Your network. You're having that conversation with many trustees in your network. So we appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listen, replay. Always appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listen, replay. This is one of those episodes. We know what time it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is the time where family estates are making major transitions. More families are getting wealthier, and they understand it's not about how they made the money. Now it's about who do they know that can help them keep it. So the vault is a resource. Their network. Just a spoke on the wheel. Hunter spoke. Having a bunch of resources on your wheel in your network. So that's what you trust. People in trust. People say, oh man, I have a hard time trusting people. We know because most people aren't in trusteeship. So why would you trust them? You know they're operating from a position of liability unconsciously. You know that. If you're in trusteeship and you're dealing with people that are not in trusteeship, you're operating with people that you know they're operating unconsciously. You're operating unconsciously and knowing that they're a liability because they own everything. And people are hesitant about this stuff. So what happens? We have to lean into the relationships that are trustees. And you say, oh man, who do I know is being a real trustee, Trust Christian Vault? How do we know y'all being real trustees at the Vault, Trust Christian? Well, first of all, you have to be in trusteeship in order to say that. We're trusteeship. We have no problem with saying that. At the end of the day, we're working with other trustees. We're in trustee training. We also go to other trustee events. We were talking to some people earlier today that were outside of our network, but we were looking to bring them in our network, and they are very, very well established public trustees, and meaning that they have a track record for success on the public side, and they're in trusteeship. And so we network, quote unquote, with trustees in the public and in the private. That's another differentiator between the vault and the rest of these guys out here. If you saying how are you raising capital on both sides of the table and you don't know both asset holders? You only know one. If you only know one, you know one. But if you know both public and private asset allocators, that's where we're at. A lot of the families, of course, are going to be private. A lot of the institutions are going to be public. There's also institutions that are private, and then as well, there are some families that have public interest, but once again, they may have a private family estate. They just may have a public interest in holdings and public things as well. So, once again, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at what's your network. This is a major one. Who are you talking to on a daily basis? This is a hard one for trustees to hear, or people to hear sometimes. We got to be selective in our hearing. We got to turn on that switch. And network who? We trust what? Yeah. Sorry, you can't just be in trusteeship yourself. Oh, I'm the single trustee. You think they don't say that to us? At the vault, we could say we're promoting you have diversity of thought, but then they'll run out. Oh, Trust Christian Vault said we gotta have somebody now that is illegal or not legal. How about we find that out? Because that's what the lawyers, that's what they always talk to us about, right? Oh man, is it legal or not legal? So if we're gonna go there, let's go there. Let's go there with can you be the sole trustee? We see a lot of attorneys telling people that, oh man, it's no big deal. Okay. Is there a downside of being a sole trustee? They don't really answer that or they don't bring it up, huh? They answer it, of course they do. If you ask. In network, who we trust? What? Your team. You're only as good as your network. How you gonna be connecting and building wealth with non-wealthy people? Now, that's a hard quagmire for people. But ladies and gentlemen, this is a real story. Trust Christian and Vault. Our mentor told us when we got in trusteeship, this was immediate. So for the newcomers on the line, people in trust deal with people in trust. So we've always made it a point to network with people in trust. We've always and they wealthy. You can't be in trusteeship and not be wealthy. It's a hard pill. No, Trust Christian, I'm just starting out. I'm first gen. But then how are you not networking with wealthy people? Oh, Trust Christian, hold on. What is wealth? Because I know some people, they making $100,000 a year. Y'all know what wealth is. Y'all know what wealth is, ladies and gentlemen. It's almost like, do we really have to go there? We do. Why? Because you will see people pay to go to a Grant Cardone conference. Now, we're only shouting out his name and a plus and that's that. We're just shouting his name out, not no disrespect, no slight. Why? Because he brings in the so-called billionaires. So-called. We see the people that go on stage. Is Donald Trump a so-called billionaire? Clearly, he's not. Right. Trusteeship, though, huh? He knows how to be in trusteeship. Donald does. So when we outside looking in, we can see it's business as usual. You're either gonna count your network as your pockets or your company. The companies you build. That's gonna be the net worth. Is it the cash you have in your pocket, cash you have in the bank, cash you have in assets, the value of the assets, or is it gonna be the value of the businesses that you manage? Clearly, some people build bigger businesses. Their net worth's bigger, but their network is just as big with wealthy people, not with poor people. You really think? It's just a question to the audience. You really think a wealthy individual is associating with people that's not wealthy for the most part of their time? Most of their time. We could say 50, we could say 60. Some people could say, all right, Trust Christian is less than 10,000 billionaires in the world. Trust Christian, it's less than 20,000 billionaires in the world. Okay, you're right. You probably won't be sitting next to a billionaire if you're well, excuse us. If billionaires is they come together, we can connect. When it comes down to it, though, it's so few. We have our own projects we're working on. So let's move into a space of, okay, we were sitting in a room this past year, story once again, and we were sitting there and we were like, man, this is a $20 billion organization and probably hiding more. Probably have a lot more than 20 billion. And guess what? Look around this room right now. Most of these people in this room, they're rich because of the room. So you don't have to be a billionaire. You could be a multimillionaire. And we were sitting next to them left and right. It's a table of six. Five were multis. Five were over 10. Five were over 25. Five were over 35. You could sit at a table where somebody's 7 generations deep in trusteeship. That's the room. So when we talk about the network, you don't want to sit next to a 7 generationer. We actually been promoting our SEC attorney that we've had on the podcast here. You all can go look at that episode. We have an episode with she's a lawyer, Olympian. Okay, great. She's third gen. How do we meet her? At a conference. How much did that conference cost Trust Christian and Vault? So if you, it's really about $5,000 to $6,000 to be honest with you. But if you want to be cheap, as they call it, then it would be like 27 maybe on a Aladdin, 29. But it's not because they raised their prices at that event. So think about that, ladies and gentlemen. When we met them, that's what the cost of the workshop was to be in these private rooms. They're not free. Oh man, I'm supposed to get the free information from because the system owes me, the government owes me. What? It don't work that way. Private families got the information, not the government. This is an investment in your private relationships, investing in your private network. See, you could get a public network for free, but a private network might cost you. Then what you gonna say? How much is it gonna cost me, Trust Christian Vault? Okay, we already made you guys aware that even if you do late low end 2,500, I mean, we met that individual. They're three generations in a trusteeship. Comes from a real estate background, has an attorney background, has an athletic background, has family, has multiple professionals. What more can you say? Three gens in, foundation. What more can you say? That's the network you build. We run deals by them. We have a relationship. We brought them onto the podcast. People can't say, "Oh, that culture doesn't work together," or "Those people don't work together." Clearly, we did. But it's a barrier to entry. There's a pay. It's a pay to play. You gotta pay to play. Gotta pay to play. Oh, Trust Christian Vault. How much is this? How much are you talking? Went to for sure conferences recently that cost that 4,000, 6,000. Why would they not cost that? You're sitting in a room with alternative asset managers. They don't want to waste their time, and they know if you're willing to spend $6,000 on your dream and pitch them your deal, you spend 6,000. If it's got a fighting chance, hey, the fact that we shook your hand and met you, you got a fighting chance to get our millions of dollars. And that's really how it is, ladies and gentlemen. We sit in front of them, we talk to them all the time, and we were sitting in front of some asset managers recently and advisors, and they said, "Look, ladies and gentlemen, this is the numbers. You all can do research. They say there's statistics out there. You can do the research that if you shake someone's hand in raising capital, that you're over 12 times likely to get the deal done. If you shake the person's hand that's supposed to give you the money." Y'all think about how powerful that is. You can't replace that one thing, which is shaking somebody's hand. You could do a lot of stuff right. You could do a lot of stuff wrong. Some people say, "Oh, Trust Christian, is that too conventional?" Okay, we saw a report that Zoom said they want their people to come back in the office. You can Google that. Google has a, excuse us, Zoom has a public report that they wanted their employees to come back to the office building and work 5 days a week. There are other companies right now, public companies, that are telling people if you don't want to work from the office, you cannot have a job. This is the era that we're in, ladies and gentlemen. It's all about your network. Who do you know? In a network we trust. Who do we trust? Other trustees. So we don't have to question how trustable they are. Simple as that. How trustable they are. How trustworthy are they? Because if we know they're in trusteeship, they're starting to abide by a new set of rules. See, there's rules for the unprotected man, and then there's rules for the man that's in trusteeship. See, a lot of people come to the vote. Oh, Trust Christian Vote. I want to be in control of the straw man. I want to be in control of the public trust that the government supposedly created for my name. Let's talk that talk. Okay, so then if we're going to be trustees, are you a private trustee or are you a public unprotected individual? So many, ladies and gentlemen, are unprotected because they don't know how to be trustees of the public trust, let alone be trustees of a private family estate. They don't have the right network. They're in a network of unprotected people. Their government name is just that. It's a government name. They're not in control of the government name. They're not in dictation. It's we the people. They don't know that they're supposed to be the trustee over the public trustee estate. So now we got what people call subduers of the estate, and they're managing your family estate for you. That's why when you pass, it goes into automatic probate. It doesn't even matter if you got a family member who can immediately step up and stand for it. It automatically goes into intestate if you don't have what is that, a financial plan or an exit plan for the entity, which is your government name, your legal name. Simple as that. The government got a plan for you. They got a trust for you. And they got a network to make sure your family doesn't get a thing. Why do you need the government's trust? Because you didn't create and deal with on your own. Because people didn't have families that set them up in the right position. They don't have a previous network of private people they know that put them in the right position. So those are called unprotected people. It's a lot of them. It's really interesting. They pretty much own everything. They got a trust Christian, own nothing, control everything. But as it stands right now, they have a complex. It's called ownership. They think they can own something. If we were to ask them, do they own their finger? If the finger got cut off, how do you own it? You don't have it anymore if it gets cut off. So we have to be aware of what we're stewards of, what we're trustees over. We are a trustee over our body. We're a trustee over our body. We're a trustee over this estate. We're a trustee over our time. How many people are thinking like trustees, or they thinking like the unprotected man? The unprotected man going to public school saying, hey, my parents couldn't afford it, so hey. And then when you grow older enough to where you have to now pay for the education instead of your parents, which is all is fair, are you going to pay and invest in your private family education, your private family estate education? Which, here we go. No one on the public side could say, hey, Trust Christian Vault, you guys in the private, y'all don't have private wealth conferences. Yes, we do. We have private wealth conferences. Oh, Trust Christian, how much they cost? They still cost over 800 to 1,000, sometimes 2,000. Still in the private, for sure. So either way, we still, and guess what? You say, the conferences are for us to educate ourselves and network. We're paying the network in the private. The unprotected man in the public, what is he doing? Oh man, the only thing I'm networking at is a football game. The only thing I'm networking at is a basketball game. The only thing I'm networking at is at a sporting event. Nothing wrong with it. We're in the cool with it. We're giving you food for thought. For, here we go, the athletes, the celebrities, they still come into the private rooms. They still come to the private events. They still come into our private rooms and network. They come in our private rooms, try to raise capital. The athletes, the Super Bowl champions, the NBA champions. Don't think as many of those. Oh man, it's NBA champions. They're coming in a room. They're raising capital. They're coming into the private sector. If y'all only knew the mentality of the people in the room, and to hear an athlete say, "Oh yeah, I'm only going to stay for one day," and then you see the owner of a $20 billion organization show up at 6 and 7 in the morning to make sure the event's still running properly, and show up to their event at 7, that the athlete's going to come sit and talk for an hour because, oh well, he's X, Y, and Z. He won a Super Bowl. He's X, Y, and Z. He won basketball championships. That's what people want. Don't think that the owners, we don't know that. We know that. People want to see these guys talk. Yeah. They come to our environments though, on an invitation, but they didn't run the show. You can run your show. You can host events yourself for private events to have others network. That's what we do. What's stopping you? What's stopping others to do that? Not saying they don't. We're saying that when you step into that sector, when you step into that realm, yes, events are going on. Privately, it doesn't have to be done publicly. It can be done privately. You can vet people out, be discerning, have limited capacity. Say you're only doing it for certain professions. That's what's going on. Private family estate meetings. they're in high net worth investor environments. If you didn't know the term, they call high net worth investors. They have conferences all the time. That would be considered the private sector. Why? Because they've passed the threshold of 10, 20, $30 million in net worth. You would think that you could be in these environments when you're an accredited investor. Once again, we talked about this recently. Some trustees think they were slick. Oh man, I'm gonna just go get a series license. All right, first of all, you still want to have the capital to interact and even be able to have the vocabulary to have a conversation. But at the same time, proud of you for even being creative and getting the environment. Sounds good. And network who? Who you networking with? Oh, we trust trustees. That's what we trust. And there's trustees for every vertical in life. We could tell you that right now. Every vertical. So we're very excited about this year. We're excited about this episode. Excited about the feedback. Uh, we have trustees coming on every day, every time, and they every conversation for sure. Every day they'll say, "What do I need to be reading? What do I need to where do I need to go to these events, or what events do I need to go to?" Trust Christian, we always think about you going to these events, but what events? First of all, we almost would tell you do something outside your comfort zone to go do something new. This gives you the opportunity to see what your taste buds are like pre-wealth. So you don't spend your money on stuff you don't want to. At least when you're wealthy, you can spend the money on the stuff you want. Going out, doing. It's interesting. The wine business has been booming for years now, and we just see that as such a niche market that, like, what do you mean? You can't go wrong sometimes, but we're not encouraging that. We're just encouraging you to know that these are like well-to-do environments. A bottle of wine could cost you $20, $30, thousands of dollars. So once again, we just are aware that these are asset classes. Once again, that's an asset class. Watches. Uh, we know many asset class cars. A lot of people go to networking events for cars. Well, there's levels to the cars. You got the supercars, you got the classic cars, you got you got various different types of cars. So your cars are going to dictate almost the crowd. But sometimes you're just open-minded and you still go. For what? Because in trusteeship, we network. That's a fact. We network. And you're almost always networking. You're doing best to find other assets. That's why you got to network. How many people are finding assets or they finding liabilities? And when we find liabilities, it is what it is. They're just a liability, or it maybe not even them, just whatever energy was there. It's okay, fine. We need to acquire assets, ladies and gentlemen. The more assets you build, the bigger your net worth. The bigger your net worth, the better. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, the net worth is going to come from the network. And we can tell you that right now. We're sitting on the line with someone who knows the top executives at major trusts in the United States. And when you can get even one of them on the line, they'll tell you, first of all, it isn't that many public. That's just the facts. So the few that are public, they know each other for the most part. The executives do. Right. So are you networking with public trust? We were sitting around, we'll give this gem. We're going to give y'all this gem because we're not going to play with it. So there is I'm going to make sure we get it right. Here we go. So right now, we we were looking into some major things, and somehow this thing popped up. We ain't giving no financial advice or legal advice. We just let y'all know that this thing, man, this company, this is a actual public yeah, it's a trust. It's actually a trust. So we could say it. So the Teachers Retirement System of Texas, TRS. And it was interesting because This thing got a market value of 186 billion. Y'all playing around out here. Oh, Trust Christian, what do you mean? $186 billion is in the teachers' retirement system of Texas. I thought people couldn't retire properly nowadays. I thought the teachers were supposed to be lowest on the totem pole. Y'all think the interest payment coming off the teachers' retirement fund can't take care of the teachers in Texas for the rest of their life and give them substantial pay and actually improve the system? Y'all asked us about a trust. TRS Pension Trust is the sixth largest public pension fund in the United States, defined by asset managers. And so TRS Pension Trust Fund is considered, is they telling y'all right here on y'all can go do this research on public. Oh, we can go see the mission statement, Trust Christian. We can go see the vision statement. Listen, the vision is earning your trust every day. Maybe not money, but they earning your trust every day. And it says, just think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Just go do your research. Average annual life annuity would be $2,000 a month, $2,100. You ain't gonna go there. That's called a dividend. So that means you're getting a dividend off that investment. That if you're in that system, if you're allocated, you have capital, certain levels of capital. They're the teachers for sure. It's interesting. We encourage you all to go to the website, go out there and look into the teacher retirement fund for Texas. Why? Because this is where you meet once again educated scholars. They're inside of the fund. People are investing in the fund. We're not advising. Once again, we're just having conversation about this particular asset manager. They are asset managers, so we're not encouraging you all to give or not give, but asset manager. And so that's what we're looking at, ladies and gentlemen. Are people going to go connect with the Texas people? And people ask us all the time about these funds. They call them a trust fund, but then they don't know who's the public one and the private one. We share a public one, and that's a teacher's fund. Trust Christian, how's that going to give me any money? They make investments. Look into it. Because it's your network. They're in trusteeship. At least you know they're in trusteeship, right? Right. And they have a diverse team of asset managers. They don't just have one asset manager over at the fund. They have multiple asset managers. Maybe you meet one, maybe you meet them all. Who do you know in your network that can get in contact with someone over there at the fund? We talked to someone earlier today. They can get us in contact with someone over at the fund. It's like, wow, maybe they didn't think you had that relationship till you got on the phone with somebody. They say, oh yeah, that's a close relationship. I have relationships with most of the teacher association, teacher funds in the states. Wow, you know some pretty powerful people when they manage 186 billion. We appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listen, replay. Always appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listen, to replay. Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, it's Christian at trustchristian.com for Trustee Training. Expand your network. Trustee Training. Christian at trustchristian.com. Peace.